Welcome to the Dorky Readings and Bloopers, featuring Blood Phoenix Rebirth, first book of the Broken World series. Chapter 4. How on earth could this be real? Any of this? I mean, I was a vampire? I was a mythical blood-sucking sparkly bat. What the fuck? Seriously. My senses worked at piercing the fog of my rumbling hunger, and it took all of my strength not to lean in and lap at the blood soaked into the carpet. James squatted beside me, touching the curve of my brow. Those black eyes turned golden, like piercing suns in the void of space. Come, Bianca, let us clean you up. His words echoed as if two of them spoke. I jerked back. Who the hell is Bianca? He blinked. You are. No, I'm Maria, the girl you just kidnapped, poisoned, killed, and evidently changed into a fucking vampire. God, I like the sound of mad cow disease far more than vampirism. Maybe I hallucinated this whole thing. I know who you are. James searched through me again, and I fell back, rolling into a crouch. A frown pulled at his face, darkening his features and making him appear older. Pardon me if I'm having a smidgen of trouble with your sanity right now, or mine for that matter. Not to mention the fact that he seemed to be telling me the truth. My body was agile, more so than ever before. I took kickboxing and self-defense classes for years because Grammy wanted me to be able to defend myself, which hadn't worked out too well here recently. But I also would have landed on my face had I attempted to roll away before James got a hold of me. Fine. He stood and wiped his hands down his black tee and jeans before gesturing for me to stand. Let's get you cleaned up, since I am sure you are still hungry. Why? So I can cover myself with more blood? This whole business seems counterproductive. Yeah, especially the killing people to survive. My conscience didn't want to deal with that little nugget of info. I stood, wary of him, but glad I didn't have to be bloody. I didn't think I could learn to live with that kind of penchant. Upright, I examined the empty room. A bed of pillows and blankets lay on the floor where I died. 3 windows filled the left and front side of the rooms, stairs on the right, another door into the kitchen beside them, and a blank wall. Who wanted to bet not a single appliance existed in this place for me to contact anyone? Not like a gang of people waited to come to my rescue, but I was, for all intents and purposes, alive. And at least, Ari should know as much. There's nowhere to escape to, Rhea. You cannot outrun this, hide from it, or fight it off. I've changed you. If you want to remain at all, you'll go upstairs, wash up, dress, and allow me to take you to dinner. James's voice wisped against my skin, like gently blowing on a flame. You make this all sound so civilized, which it certainly was not. Could not be. Immobility embraced me, back straightened and defiant. How could I be civil to a man who'd separated and killed the good parts of my life? Who essentially murdered me? All animals clean and feed themselves, he gestured to the stairs. But only as higher beings kidnap and murder. The angles of his face sharpened, again showing his age. One that I would never be able to determine by looks alone. Speckles of goodness reflected like distant stars in the endless black of his eyes. Will you wash yourself, or will I do it for you? Fuck off. Anger quivered in my fingertips. Let him fucking try. No drugs in my system now, or if so, they no longer hindered me. James left and came back so fast I hardly tracked him. His hand cinched around my bicep and he swung me into the kitchen. Instincts thrashed against him, pulled, twisted, and kicked. He trapped my hips against the sink, one arm twisted behind my back as a wet washcloth wiped at my face. I fought like an insolent child. I gave him nothing but resistance. My free arm jabbed back into his ribs. James thrust my head back. Washcloth smashed against my throat and his hand tightened, squeezing rivulets of water down my chest. You can't hurt me. My threshold far surpasses any form of pain your human experience can conjure. The cloth scraped my neck, and I left my head back. The rough, wet fabric irritated my skin, but he caused no other discomfort. In fact, he touched me gently until he finished. Why do all this? Why me? I jerked away when he released me, my fingers traced along the corners of my mouth. They stung. Tossing the washcloth in the empty metal sink, he said, Why not you? Don't fucking play with me. You've done this before. This was too easy to be your first time. So you must have a type, a reason, a method for choosing your victims. I have a right to know. The irritation disappeared, the swollenness gone under my fingertips. Fuck, this vampire shit had to be real. You're my third in 6,000 years. That hardly constitutes a pattern. That's a bit hard to swallow there, Freddy. The scarred corner of his mouth twitched, but he merely folded his arms in response, looking as cold and solid as an iceberg. That trembling anger shifted, froze into a heap of despair. I really am a vampire. I'm dead. I grabbed the counter to keep from collapsing. I'm never going to see the sun again, or my best friend, or drink coffee, or eat an overcooked hamburger, or go back to school, or get married and have kids. My voice broke, and I pushed away, around the kitchen island and up the stairs. I needed the silence and security of the bathroom, a privacy I hoped he wouldn't invade. I found 2 bathrooms upstairs, one in the hall, empty, and one in the master bedroom. A small window, a long half-deteriorated dresser, and an old decrepit bed adorn the room. More than mere toiletries fill the master bath. James acquired more proper female primping tools than I needed. Did he want me dressed up like a doll? How would I even... In there sat the mirror, high in the wall attached to a yellowing medicine cabinet. I inched forward until I stood at the threshold of seeing myself. This would be the final reality check, wouldn't it? If I had no reflection, what other proof did I need? But should I test the water with my fingertips, or jump all in? My gaze lost focus on the corner of the offending mirror, and I pushed myself in front of the reflective glass as a whole, gaze averted. Taking a deep breath, I looked. The shock made my heart hammer. A creature stood there with pale skin, a red-stained mouth, and bay-leaf eyes. She didn't have blemishes, lines, or even pores. She looked like the porcelain masks Grammy used to hang on the walls by the bright red and yellow ribbons. I waggled my fingers toward the woman reflected at me, and her fingers waggled back. Laughter filled the small master bath. I combed my hands through my rough ruby curls and twirled in front of the vanity. I had a reflection. God, he was being good to me. This meant I couldn't be a vampire, right? But my smile halted my short-lived relief. My canines were longer and sharper and deadly, yet they didn't seem like vamp fangs. I caressed one with a fingertip, smooth and hard like ceramic, and the point had no trouble slicing open my skin. A bubble of blood pooled precariously before my flesh fused back together, and my fingers slipped into my mouth out of habit. A knock sounded at the locked door. Having trouble? Yeah, I taste like a goddamn pastry, and I have a reflection. What am I supposed to do with that in the middle of this crazy shit of a mess? Serves me right for paying such close attention to popular media and those sparkly night-walking Prince Charmings and their weak human love interests. Newsflash, girl here. Now what the fuck was I supposed to do? Was I supposed to be Princess Peach or Princess Leia? James's laughter eased through the cracks of the door, and I slammed my fist against it to get him to stop. My body buzzed when I looked in the mirror again. The weak female didn't stare back at me. Tell me I'm not sparkly, at least. I'd rather be the glow-in-the-dark kind of vampire if I've got to be one. My fingers pulled at my red curls again. I appreciated whatever trick made me seem a tad prettier. You're neither of those things. If you let me in, I can give you the footnotes while you clean up. Sexual tension swam in the undercurrents of his voice, making me shake my head. Yeah, not on your life, buddy. Finally, I got the shower working. Oh, water, please, please get hot. Gravity attacked my knees when the water grew hot. Too hot, even. A type of bliss I could get used to. Full showers at home ran on the cold side. I burnt myself before I controlled the heat, but the feel of it on my scalp made the rest of it just as euphoric. I stood under the water for a full 5 minutes before I thought to use soap. Everything smelled of vanilla. A rich vanilla. Not one of the cheap or burnt varieties, but real pure vanilla bean, with seeds and all. Okay, maybe James didn't amount to a completely creepy psychopath, although he did kidnap me and poison me or vamp me up or whatever. I mean, I guess vampirism had its upsides, right? I paused as suds slithered down my arms. Were the perks worth eating and killing people? The cold pit in my stomach widened, pulling at my momentary ease, sucking it down with the force of a black hole. Keeping the tears from my eyes took the rest of my energy. Stepping out of the shower half clean, I wrapped an oversized white towel around myself before I found a set of clothes, carefully draped across the corner of the sink. I hadn't unlocked the door, or heard him come in. Nice and creepy, Fangboy. Not even close to my best trick. A smile in his voice from the other side of the bedroom door warmed the surface of my cheeks and throat. I scrubbed myself dry and donned the undies and bra, which fit. How do you know my bra size? Had he copped a feel while I was out? I looked at the door but couldn't bring myself to ask. I really didn't want to know. Instead, I decided to ask him about those footnotes. So the sun. Crispy critter time or what? No burning, or fire, or theatrics, I'm afraid, noob. Just a kind of weakening, more so for you than vets like me. Yeah, you, a vet. Real big hero. Stealing innocent women and making them fucking monsters. The channel for my anger went haywire again, and the cold inside of me tremored. My hunger grew by the minute. Shoving the dress over my head, I didn't bother with makeup or hair products. I swung the door open to a mischievous-looking James. His relaxed stance and crossed arms snapped in my static. I served in nearly every war for every country I've occupied. Some for the better, some for the worse. But I think it's a quite accurate description of who and what I am. The military in his stance popped as he looked straight down his nose at me. Now, why don't you do something about those Medusa curls so you don't look like a redressed drug addict? I glared at him. Turned on my heel and went to peruse the makeup. I grabbed some mascara, blinked into it, applying a light slash of shiny peach on my lids and a smear of lip gloss. Being watched made me move quickly, and even though I rushed, my muscles didn't quake. With a glob of lemon-scented curl control in my hair, I presented myself to him with open arms. Shoo me, so we can get on with this. Hard work doesn't scare me, but I hate being left in a fog. Then let me clear away a lot of the confusion you're likely to have. Everything you know about vampires is false. Although, writers are getting closer. He wrapped an arm around my shoulder, pulled me out of the bathroom, and handed me red pumps. Now, let's go have that drink. There's nowhere to escape to, Rhea. You can... It's either too wet or too dry. I don't know what the fuck to do with my mouth here. Alright. Jace's... Which it certainly was not. Could not be. It's the shaking of my head thing. I waggled my fingers toward the woman reflected at me, and her fingers. What is wrong with me and fingers and waggle? Fingers waggle, fingers waggle, fingers waggle, fingers waggle. Now I won't be able to do it, though. What am I supposed to do with that in the middle of... Serves me right for paying such close attention to... Stock much?